This season, I was lucky enough to take a trip of a lifetime to Burgundy, France, where I jumped aboard a beautiful barge named La Belle Époque to sail down the glorious canals and enjoy the finest French cuisine. Today on the canals, it's picture perfect. Look at what I get to see every single day. Along the way, we stopped off at markets and restaurants, sampled produce from the finest French artisans, visited stunning medieval towns, and of course, I got to cook up some of my favourite French-inspired recipes. Madeleines are little buttery cakes that you can find all over France. The royals in the 18th century loved them, and I can see why, because they are so delicious. They're also really quick to make. Now, I like to serve them in the morning, as the French do, with a coffee, but they're fantastic for an afternoon tea, and the kids love them. So into a bowl, I'm going to start with 3 eggs. So we'll crack 3 whole eggs into the bowl. And what I love about this is you can change up the flavours of it. So today I'm going to be making some honey madeleines with some lemon, but you could also use some orange. Vanilla works really well. And if you want to get extra fancy, lavender is a nice addition. So in with some sugar, just caster sugar, and lemon zest. I like a good hit of lemon for this. I've just washed my lemon, and just use a fine grater when you're doing this. We don't want any of that white pith, just the pure essence of the lemon. Oh, it smells so good. Okay, we're going to whisk this until all of that sugar dissolves and it becomes a little bit frothy. What I love about this recipe is you don't need any mixers or anything like that. It's all done by hand. That's looking pretty good. So I've melted some butter. I've also added some honey to it. You don't want it to be really hot. Just like any baking, you want all of the ingredients to be roughly the same temperature, including the eggs. So just bring your eggs out of the fridge a little earlier. So in with our butter and the honey mixture. You need a lot of butter for this because it's going to make these little cakes so moist. And in fact, once they're cooked, they're even better the next day, if there's ever any left over though. All right, we've got a nice mixture there. So in with our dry ingredients. I'll start with a little salt, just a pinch of salt, some plain flour, and we need a raising agent, so I've got some baking powder. And that's it. Now I grab myself a spatula and I'll start to fold all of these ingredients together. I don't want to overwork that flour because we'll get a tough crumb. We don't want that. We just want this to be light and fluffy, very sponge-like. So just give that a mix gently. Don't use the whisk for this because it agitates it too much. That is looking very good. Now, of course, you can bake this straight away, but for the best results, you need to be patient. So I recommend placing this into a piping bag and placing it into the fridge for a few hours before baking, or even better, just make this batter the day before. So here's one that's chilled. I like to use a piping bag because it just makes it super tidy when you're placing this into the shape-like mold. So here is my mold. Now you can get this online. It's really easy to get. You can see that it's got that distinct shape. You could do this in a small cupcake tin, but it's really not the same. So if you can get one of these, get your hands on it. Let's start piping this. I'll just cut the base off that. Then you want to fill it about 3/4 of the way up. Oh, that looks just perfect. Now, if your batter is too thick, don't worry. All you need to do is add a splash of water. Once I've finished filling up the moulds, they go into a hot oven, about 180 degrees, and they don't take long to cook, about 12 to 15 minutes. The Madeleines are out of the oven. I've allowed them to cool slightly, and you can see how they've got this distinct bump. That's a sign of a good Madeleine. So once they've cooled down slightly, you can just pop them straight out. And look at that, they really do look like shells. And if you like, you could add some more honey or lemon to it, or just keep them as is. They store really nicely in an airtight container. There you go. Little honey and lemon Madeleines. I'm gonna have a taste. I wanna show you the inside of these. Oh, see how buttery and tender they are? That's what we're after. Mmm.